Hi, I'm Jessica, coming to you from my dining room in the middle of nowhere, Kansas. It is January 24th, 2026, and it is currently -3 degrees Fahrenheit out. The temperature is actually up a little bit from what it was overnight. For those of you over across the pond who do not use the Fahrenheit system, that is -19 in Celsius. It's actually a little bit higher, but like, why are we dealing with the decimal dust? We are in the middle of a snowstorm. We got over 6 inches last night. It has stopped for now, but I know we're expecting more later. Let me insert a video here of what it looks like out of my living room window. Um, nice snowy winter wonderland out there. Um, yeah, we're expecting some more. Hopefully not too much. I like snow. Don't get me wrong. I love snow, but I could take the snow without the sub-zero temperatures. Um, Usually I am out helping my husband clear our very large driveway and sidewalk, but not in -3 degrees. That's not happening. That's not going to happen until it warms up. Anyway, here I am. Welcome to my channel, HeroBorn Stitches. It is FlossTube number 14, I believe, and this is my little corner of the internet of FlossTube where I talk mostly about my cross stitch. Sometimes other stuff kind of creeps in, other hobbies that I have like knitting or quilting, but today it's all cross stitch. So I have a lot to show you today. I have 12 WIPs, which stands for work in process for those who do not know, that I have worked on over the past week. Some of them are boring as all get out. Like, I don't even know why I'm showing them to you because you can't really see the progress on them. And then some other ones are pretty fun and pretty exciting. I didn't get everything done I wanted to get done this week because that's the way that works. But yeah, it is what it is. And I just figured out it's easier if I update these videos more regularly because then it's not so exhausting and huge and I'm not creating some 3-hour video. I apologize. I've got all sorts of like hair regrowth here in the front and it's sticking out in the middle of sticking out like crazy. So we are going to do several things today. Just a very quick life update. Not a lot has been happening other than our crazy weather. We're going to look at my WIPs, including temperature stitching and SAL progress. I do have just a little bit of haul to show you. I do also have some Stitchy Kindness from my friend Erin at Cornflower Stitchery. It came with the Round Robin project that she sent me as part of the Stitching Connection with Jason X Stitches that he has kind of hosted and put together. And I wasn't going to show it to you guys because I didn't want to ruin things for everybody else that is in my connection. But she told me to go ahead and share it because although she might do something similar, there's going to be enough variation where I'm not ruining anybody's surprise. And then I'm sure we'll talk just a little bit about plans going forward, and then we should cut it. We should be done. So it's a good time to get started. Let's start with a life update. I promise it'll be quick. I say that I really hope it will be quick. So, classes started this week. So I'm back at work really, really full time. The week has absolutely kicked my ass. Part of it is not being used to having that much structure, but I was also really, really, really super busy trying to make sure all the classes are ready, helping other people make sure their classes are ready. Just other work stuff that came up that I needed to take care of. It has been a long week. I was super glad to see the end of the day on Friday. Not that I don't have work to do this weekend, because I always do. I'm not sure I'll touch it though. What made the week extra long really was that my husband had a doctor's appointment in Kansas City on Thursday, and he cannot drive long distances because of his narcolepsy. So I got the pleasure of driving 4 hours to Kansas City again, and then 4 hours back on Thursday. So I don't think I have any big doctor's appointment travel situations next week. So that would be nice to have a week. I don't think I've had a week where we haven't had to drive a lot in quite a long time. So that will be very nice. But that's really about it. I have worked and just been a bum. Like my house is a disaster. I've just been a bum. But that's what happens. I guess when I get back into the swing of things, it will be good. So let's jump right into WIPs. Excuse me. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is temperature stitching. Temperature stitching, for those of you guys who don't know, is just really a way of getting some progress on WIPs that are maybe have been ignored for a long time. Just making little bits of progress every day. Maybe using using the weather as a way to randomize the project you work on. So what I have done is I have taken the digits 0 through 9 and assigned them each to a WIP, or like I said, a work in process. And then I look at the temperature every Saturday morning. And so I looked at it this morning, and I look at the projected highs for the next week, and I will do 100 stitches on each project that corresponds with that number. I don't always do it every day. I like looking at it for the entire week. When I first started doing it, I looked at it every morning. But then I was like picking up, putting down projects, picking up, putting down projects, because 100 stitches doesn't really go very far most of the time. So I've been looking at it for the week. And so if temperature has a WIP called twice or 3 times, I can just pick it up once and do it and be done for the week. So theoretically, I will work on each project until it has been called 10 times or had 1,000 stitches. It might get finished off and so not get the full 1,000 stitches. But what I'm trying to do, and I explained this a couple of videos ago, what I'm trying to do with my temperature stitching is really focus on the really old WIPs. Some of them are older than others. Some of them are really old, as you will see coming up. But the ones that before I made my spreadsheet, and yes, I have a spreadsheet with all of my stitching. Before I made the spreadsheet, the ones that I don't have the start dates on, so I know those. I think I did that shortly after I started making a FlossTube video, or maybe right before. So things that were started, some of them not quite a year ago. I mean, because I started over the summer, maybe. So things that are at least 6 months old. I currently have 38 WIPs, which is not horrible. When I listen to everybody else and their WIP counts, I'm still a little bit uncomfortable having 38 WIPs because that's just cross stitch. That doesn't include my knitting or my quilting or anything else. But it is what it is. Like, that's what I have. I've kind of like given myself a ceiling of 40 WIPs, and that I don't want to get above, which gives me a little bit of leeway there. And I've got several things that are very close to a finish. So that will open that up even more, because there are projects I really want to start. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. Let's look at that. So the first piece of temperature stitching I have to show you is the wonderful Kitten ornaments that were my bathroom project back when my daughter was very young. She wanted to take a bath every night, and these were what I had in a basket on the back of the stool that I would sit down and stitch on while she was in the tub. She is 30, so these are very old. There is a set of, I want to say 10, 12, something like that. I'm trying to think of the picture. I don't know. I know it's more than 9. I believe it's more than 9. I think it might be 10. Anyway, just little cross-stitch kitten ornaments that came in a kit by Something Special. Clearly it's very old. I had started, if you guys remember, I don't know if you watched the other one, but I had started a new ornament a couple weeks back, and I realized that I was using the completely wrong color on the dress. And I was trying to decide whether or not I was going to change that out. Well, I changed it out. I just started fresh. So there were 200 stitches. This is what it will look like when it's done. There were 200 stitches in it. The main part of the dress was in the wrong color of green. I don't think I'm going to bother to show that to you. I don't know, maybe I'll pop it up over here. But I decided that I was not okay with that. And so I went ahead and started it all over again. It's small. It was 200 stitches. It was bugging me. So this is where it is now. So I did those 200 stitches. I think I owed it 100 stitches from last week's temperature stitching, and then it was called again. So this is 400 stitches into the kitten ornament. So most of the dress is done. Actually, I think all of the dress except maybe the white is done. I think all of the green is done. And the dark parts, the dark gray and the kitten are done. So you might look at this and say, this isn't going to take you 1,000 stitches, but you know what? It is, because it's from the 1990s. And anyone who stitched in the 1990s knows how backstitch heavy that is. So yeah, it will take me probably every little piece of 1,000 stitches to get it done. But because I did have the extra 200, which I think were makeup stitches from something that I did the other day, it might get done in 1,000 stitches. But anyway, another little kitten on its way to join her little friends that eventually maybe will be finished off and put on the tree, maybe. And I don't know what I'm going to do with them. So it's just on Aida, 14 count white Aida with all of I would say all the threads that came in the kit, but because it's so old, I have lost a number of the threads that came in the kit and just really substituted them out with some DMC that I have. So not 100% true to the kit, but close enough for who it's for. I don't know exactly how many I have left. I don't pay attention to that. I just, every once in a while, it's like, oh, I'm starting a kitten. Second piece of temperature stitching I have is a dimensions kit. Again, a very old dimensions kit. The artwork is by Charles Wysocki. This is what it will look like when it's done. It's called 'Tis the Season. I only had to do 100 stitches in it. It was only called once, like all of the temperatures only appeared once last week. So the fact that I had 200 stitches into the kitten, it was makeup. It was makeup stuff. Actually, I had 400 stitches into that, but it was redo, makeup, and then last week. Anyway, this is what it looked like last time you saw it. 100 stitches doesn't really go very far. And you are not going to be able to see any difference at all because all that I did was work on the white. And that's the most boring stitching ever. But I was just putting the white in the roof up here. And then I had a few stitches left. So I did the white framing the window here. So it is going to look exactly like it did last time you saw it, even though 100 stitches were added. This is just 14 count white Aida. All the ingredients, that's for you, Jen. All the ingredients that came with the kit, just the floss and everything that came with the kit. It is a dimensions kit. I think the margins are pretty tight. I'm a little bit worried. So I kind of want to work out to at least one side. I did a center start, but then I kind of don't want to. I'm just trying to fill in stitching in this central stuff and then maybe work from the center out. If I need to make adjustments, I can make adjustments later. So yeah, 100 stitches into 'Tis the Season, and it continues to get some progress. Really old WIPs. I love seeing the progress on the really old WIPs. I don't really want to focus on them for the most part because that's a lot. You know, I have other things I want to work on that I'm more excited about. But seeing them get touched and move forward is nice. So next piece of temperature stitching is Seasons 2, a celebration of something, something, something. I am hopeful that I'm getting this designer right. I think I keep getting it wrong. Cottage garden needleworks, I'm thinking. If not, I will put it down below. I should just make notes. And I stitch on it like regularly, like not super regularly, but enough where I should know what's going on. If you guys hear tapping and scratching and whining in the background, that is my dog. Well, one of my dogs. She loves the snow. She wants to be out in the snow, but it's way too cold for her to be out in the snow. And so she'll go outside and then she wants to come in right away. She just hasn't figured out that she can't go out. So I don't know. I might go let her out real quick. Hold on. I'm back and I am going to have to pause again in just a few minutes to let the dogs in, but I don't know, maybe they'd be happier if I let them wander around in here with me. I kind of hate to do that because they all need groomed so badly. Anyway, so I looked it up while it was paused, and it's hands-on design is the designer. Kind of embarrassing. But anyway, this is what it will look like when it's done. This is done in 12 different pieces. I couldn't find a good picture of it all done together, but there is a layout for it on the website with the border, which is very simple on how to do it in one piece. This is where it was last time you saw it. And this I had makeup stitches to do on as well, working on November down there. So there were 200 stitches put into this project. This is 28 count fiber on a whim cypress. It is just a linen or a Lugana, it looks like. And I am using all the called for Classic Color Works threads. The border I did just in black coffee. I just wanted something very simple. So 200 stitches gave us a good part of the turkeys on November. Helped fill in those little acorns, I'm thinking is what those are. And yeah, that's about what that was. I mean, I just used the same color. It went really super quick. I'm always glad to see this make progress because it is just so cute. And I know I'm really going to like it when it's done. So it's certainly not going to be done by the end of its rotation, the 1,000 stitches and temperature stitching, but I will probably keep rotating it back in whenever I have a chance. Kind of what I'm doing is if something is really super close to done and I'm at my 1,000 stitches, I will probably leave it in just to get it finished. But if something is going to take like another clear full rotation through temperature stitching or more than that, I have been swapping it out and bringing something else in for 1,000 stitches. And then sometimes, like oftentimes swapping those back in. I do have a lot of projects that are old enough to be in temperature stitching, but not so many that I won't eventually get back to it this year. So the next piece that I have to show you for temperature stitching, I'm really excited about. It is October Sky Sampler, very old pattern by Elizabeth Designs. I think her name, I can't remember what it is exactly, is on the front of the pattern. This, as I told you guys last time, only had between the beads and the charms and the stitching and back stitching that was left, had 170 stitches. I had counted it up and it got called last week. So I got to put 100 stitches into it. And it was called again this week. So this should be, if I do my job, this should be a finish tomorrow, next week. I am not a fast beater, so I hope it all gets done. This is where it was last time you saw it. It's terribly wrinkled because it has been around a long time. This is, again, something I think I started when my daughter was 1 or 2, and she is 30. I'm going to keep saying her age because I'm sure she loves that. She's actually almost 31. Anyway, God, that makes me feel old. But yeah, so I did the 100 stitches on it. And I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see it. I mean, I do have a little hanging thread down here. It's all in here. If you can see, there's part, because there's cross stitches and back stitches in here in between these rows of little cross stitch leaves. A bead goes in the center of all of those back stitches, kind of going down. So all I really have is the bottom of this one. And I think there's 20 back stitches and maybe 1 cross stitch in there. And then 1, 2, 3 cross stitches and maybe 60 back stitches, something like that. And I usually count the back stitches as a half stitch when I do it. And then I am onto the beading and the charms, which thankfully I was able to secure, which was an act of God. Like, I have no idea how that happened. I got them. This is done on some linen. I do not know exactly what the count is. It's either 32 or 36. And I am using the called for DMC with the 1 over dyed water lilies. The water lilies is in Java, which is a little bit different than what it was called for in the pattern, but it worked really well with all of the other colors. This has been so much fun to work on. I am super excited to get it done because it is just adorable. And like I told you guys previously, I am not into stitching things 2 times. So if anyone really wants this pattern, I am more than happy to send it to you. I don't know. We might do a giveaway. We might do something like that next time. So yeah, I need to make sure I get it all ironed and tidy before I start doing the beads, because it's so hard to do that after you do the beads. But yeah, that should be a finish, which would be the first finish of 2026 next week. So hopefully it'll be done. Wish me luck. I'd be shocked if I didn't do it. I want that first finish of the year, and I just love the piece. So it'll be easy to get done. The next piece of temperature stitching I have is, it's such a story. It is what I started my FlossTube journey out with, the world's oldest WIP. This is a piece that I started when I was in 3rd grade, I think. My first foray into any kind of needlework. It is not counted cross stitch. It's stamped on a piece of cloth. My stitches, I honestly probably have not touched it in 40 to 45 years, other than to show it to you guys when I started my FlossTube journey. I don't know what it's called. It has a little saying on it, and I think it's like called a Scottish prayer or a Scottish prayer or something like that. But this is what it's supposed to look like. I can't believe I found a picture of what it was supposed to be, but it says, from ghoulies and ghosties and long-leggedy beasties and other things that go bump in the night, good Lord, deliver us. So that is what it is supposed to look like. I do not have a picture of where I was, but I decided to stick it into temperature stitching. Yes, I am that stubborn. I am that stubborn where I have a project that I started back when I was in primary school. Still, I don't know. I really don't know how I have it. Why I have it is because I'm stubborn. how I have it is an entirely different situation. I did think I had the floss on this, but it turned out I really did not have much of the floss. So I just kind of grabbed colors that were close because I have no idea what they were. And doesn't really matter because the stitches on it, like, it makes me laugh because the stitches on it, you probably can't. I don't know, maybe you can. Can you see how bad those stitches are? I mean, for third grade and my first attempt, that's not too terribly bad, I guess, maybe. And, you know, it was stamped, and so it's kind of hard to see. So it was called for temperature stitching. And the only part of these words that were done were this little teeny bit, if you can see that, of the G, like the very top part of the G in Ghoulies was done. So I owed it 100 stitches. This is filthy. I mean, you can see how dirty it is. I have no idea if that'll come out. I'm certainly not going to try to wash it because the little bit that I can see of the words still, and they are very faint, makes it very hard to stitch. I know it'll be gone. So I will deal with the stains and trying to wash it when I get it finished. But I just decided I'm just going to finish it. And I threw it in temperature stitching so it would get some attention. You know, actually, I think like if I like cleaned up the back, I might have enough of the original colors to do all the stitching. So there was a really long piece of thread and a needle, and that needle was like 2.5 inches long. I don't know what my mom was doing letting me use a 2.5 inch long needle on this, but there was a really long piece of thread attached to it still way back from 45 years ago. And I just finished that, and I'm on Ghosties. Yeah, because Ghoulies was done. Yeah, Ghosties. And I did did everything but this little bit on Ghosties, the other and did long is what I did. I have no idea if that's 100 stitches or not. I worked on it for about an hour, and it was really frustrating because you can hardly see what's printed on there still. And I was trying to, when I look at how it's printed, I think the non-cross stitch parts of the letters were supposed to be just several big back stitches. And I did that on the Ghoulies, I believe. But on the From, I did like some weird version of a stem stitch or something. So I wasn't really sure what to do here. And they're all over the place because it's stamped and you can't see very well. But I really kind of ended up maybe just doing a back stitch for the most part on those. Now, the funny thing about this is that this is printed, it feels like a cotton cloth, not a linen, but I do counted cross stitch work on smaller thread counts than this. So it very easily could be counted cross stitch, but it's all printed and I'm just trying to do that. So I just want to get it finished. I have the whole blue border done. There is this light blue border, the 2 flowers at the top done. There's this light blue border that goes around it. I have this one flower down here done. I think I just, as a child, wanted to do some green and pink. I need to replace that over there. And then other than that, it's just the words. This is something that actually has been in temperature stitching for a while, and I was just not touching it. So I owe it like 700 stitches. It's on my cross stitch catch-up list, my stitch catch-up list. I really think those 700 stitches, which will really, because I'm not counting the stitches on this, I'm really like looking more at an hour. I'd be surprised if it wasn't done. So what I really do need to do is just pick it up and work on it an hour here, an hour there, to get to those 7 hours. And if I'm not done, I think there's 2 rotations left in temperature stitching. And I can list like a lot those stitches that are left over, whatever, to the next project that's replacing it. I would just love to get it done. It cracks me up. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm really tempted to frame it. Probably not spend a lot of money framing it, but just to kind of memorialize the beginning of my cross stitch journey and all that fun stuff. It's actually kind of maybe a weird way to describe it, but it's kind of like healing in some way, getting to this project that had been left ignored for a very long time and moved with me so many times. Like a lot. I've moved a lot. So yeah, but it is kind of healing in some ways. It was not something I was really eager to pick up. That's why it has 700 stitches that I owe to it. Because every time it came up, I was like, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. But it was the last on my list. I got home last night. It was the last piece of temperature stitching I needed to do for the week. And I just said, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to sit down and do it. And now that I have it started, it feels much better. It was getting it going. That was really tough. The next to last, I have 2 more pieces of temperature stitching, because if you guys will remember, I had 3 things from last week that I didn't get done from temperature stitching. The next piece of temperature stitching I'm super excited about. Again, I was dreading it. Oh, I will say too, this did not come up on temperature stitching this week. So I have another 2 times to kind of make up those 7 makeup stitches, 7 days of makeup stitches on it. And I have a little while, so I'm not going to prioritize it this week probably. But anyway, this next one I was absolutely dreading also. But now I'm not. I have like a weird section of gray hair that is just my nice poly wings here that is just coming out. Anyway, this, I do not have a picture of my starting point on this. I showed it way back in FlossTube number 2 when I was going through all my WIPs. This is Beautiful Grains, and it's just by the Caron collection. And what it is it is a pattern that has lots and lots and lots of specialty stitches in it. Everything is a specialty stitch. And they have all these different kinds of floss, all different sorts of things that Caron makes. And then they give you, for each section, they give you an idea of what flosses are appropriate, how many strands to use for this stitch. And actually in several of the sections, they give you like 4 different options. Like one of them is a rice stitch, and they give you 4 different variations of the rice stitch that you can use. And it is like 4 corners. And so you could use all 4 of them if you wanted to. So it was kind of intimidating because it does say on it advanced. And it had been so long since I had really done many specialty stitches or anything like that. So I was really, really hesitant to do it. But with New Year's, I said, I'm putting it in temperature stitching. I can do 100 stitches on it. I can figure it out. It's going to take me a hot minute, but I can do it. So I did it. It was called, and this is where I am. So last time I had this whole central part, and there is some water lilies over dyed silk, and then there is some kind of metallic over the top of it, which is forming this pinwheel. They also did give you a lot of different options for how to format this center square. This thing is not very big. Like I think it goes out to here, square, but there's several other sections of specialty stitches to do. So I also had 2, and they were like in the center. I'm not sure it was this area, but they were in the center here. I had 2 of these. I don't even know what they're called, but these stitches, these things that are in green, I had 2 of those done, and one of them looked pretty sloppy, and I had just stopped. Again, many years ago. This would have been back. Maybe I'll hold it that way. I don't know. When my daughter was really, really, really super young. So these green stitches are done in Rachel. I don't even know if they still make Rachel. If you know if they still make Rachel, let me know. But it is like this nylon tube inside with a color inside of a nylon tube, which is kind of like gossamer. Um, and I mean, it's like a good quarter of an inch. Um, and it is kind of fun to work with, but it's also terrible to work with. You need a really big needle. You're not going to get that through. And it does end up, it conforms to the stitches a lot. Boy, was I cussing. I was cussing up a storm when I was doing this because it's impossible to like weave it in to secure it someplace. So I ended up just putting knots. I took out the one sloppy stitch and then I did the rest around. And once I got it figured out, it was fine. But I ended up having to do knots at the end. And I don't like to knot my floss in the back, but it's the only way I could really keep it going. And the biggest problem was like, this is pretty fat. And I mean, it kind of conforms, but even when you do that, I don't know if you'll be able to see that, to do that center stitch, bringing all of those stitches together was tough to even see the holes you needed to go into. But I got it done. And I was so happy when I got it done. I could have called it there. I had been over an hour, but I needed a few more stitches if I was counting like each little piece as just half of a cross. So I ended up moving on to the white. I need to go let the dogs in. I will be right back and we'll talk about the white. Okay, I'm back and my big mama Cass is looking out the window. She's going to want to go out again in just a minute. I do want to say before I get back to the stitching that I'm not mean. It is frigid out, yes. But I don't have small dogs. I have Irish Wolfhounds. I have 4 Irish Wolfhounds because I'm insane and love them to pieces, but I'm insane. So they've got lots of fur. They actually really like it when it's cold out, but probably not this cold. There's no way I would leave them out with it being this cold for more than just a few minutes. Anyway, back to this great, beautiful grains piece. So, like I said, I could have called it, but honestly, I was telling myself that I needed more stitches. I didn't really need them. I did, but I didn't. But I was having so much fun working on it. I just wanted to continue. So I put this row of flat stitches. There's going to end up being 4. Like the second row was really little. It's only like over 2 threads, something like that, 2-3 threads. And then there's another row that's pretty big, that's a little bit bigger, probably about the same size as this. And then there's one where it forms the border out here. So this is done in Caron Collection Snow, which is like this white metallic. It called for 2 threads, and that's a lot of snow. That is thick. There's definitely some texture to this, if you can see that. And trying to get those 2, I don't even know what this is on. This is on, it's a pretty small count, like, pretty small thread count. I have no idea. I could check. But even with like, it says 2 strands of snow and it said 1 strand of the Rachel, it's tight. And like I had to keep twisting to make sure they were laying okay, but there's enough of it so close to each other that, there are kind of like, there's inevitably some little bumps and things like that. But it's okay. Like I say it's okay, but I look at it sometimes. I'm like, oh, it looks like there's a loose stitch, but it's consistent. There's not a loose stitch. So I did the snow. It is very sparkly. That doesn't come across on camera. But yeah, so this is not going to take me 1,000 stitches to get done because it's just not that big. The stitches are not easy. The rice stitches go in the corners around here. I don't know whether I'm doing those next or I'm just continuing with those flat stitches. but it's not going to take me 1,000 to get done. It is small. And I have the most beautiful collection of threads that I bought back in the 90s, like mid 90s. And the receipt's actually still in there. And for the pattern and the fabric, which couldn't have been that expensive, and the threads, it was $50, which was a lot back then. But there's more Rachel, there's Rachelette, there's water flowers, water lilies, you name it, anything that Caron made at the time. I don't even know whether they make half that stuff anymore. I sure haven't seen it in stitching, but it is kind of fun. And I'm really glad I did it. I'm really glad I picked it up. And like I said, I didn't want to put it down. I just wanted to keep working on it. This unfortunately was not called this upcoming week. So it'll be a hot minute before you see it again. The last piece of temperature stitching I have also was part of my WIP Go call. So it was the Extraordinary Birds SAL from Lola Crow. Last year, I know she is teasing her new one, and I've got absolutely no business doing it. I'm going to keep watching the teasers though, just to see. I don't know. I shouldn't. I have so many things that I want to start and I want to stitch. I shouldn't start it. And I am woefully bad at SALs. So we'll see. But anyway, Lola Crow, like the story on all of my SALs, I was doing great until I wasn't. And I got kind of stuck on, just kind of stopped on feature 10 and put it back in temperature stitching and picked it up. And it was also on my WIP Go board because there's so much work that it would be in and out of temperature stitching all the time. So I had finished up. So this is where it was last time you saw it. So last time you saw it, I had finished up feature 10. And so I needed to start on feature 11. And I did. And I owed it 1,000 stitches for WIP Go, and then it was like a makeup from last week temperature stitching. So I did 600 stitches in it. So half of my WIP Go call, which got some good work on this little guy up here, and then was really filling in the bottom a lot. This bird, partway done, not very much, but partway. These flowers right here. This guy right here is a lizardy guy. And I think this guy gets done too. I think we finished off the whole bottom. He just hasn't had any work because his colors hadn't been called yet. What I do with these features is I open them up on Pattern Keeper and import my progress from the last feature. And then I work on whatever color appears the most until I'm done with it. So what I'm left with, the colors I'm left with, it's going to go a little bit slower because there's a lot of color changes because some of them only have like 10 stitches. And then of course I need to do the back stitch because I've been doing the back stitch as I'm going. This is on Zweigert 28 count Stormy Night. It's not vintage Stormy Night, or at least the package didn't say vintage Stormy Night. Do they have a Stormy Night and a vintage Stormy Night? I don't know. With all the called for DMCs, it is so rewarding because it looks so good, especially when I see it on camera. It looks so good, but I don't know why I let myself stop, because it would have been nice to be done, and it will be nice to be done, and I will get this finished. It's on my WIP Go board twice. So this is the first time. So with WIP Go, we'll get another 1,000 stitches. Well, and there's still 500 stitches that I owe it for WIP Go. And that will finish off, absolutely finish off feature 11 and bring me into feature 12. And I think there's 14 in all. I know one of those is really big, like a lot of stitches. So it won't totally get done, even if it gets called right away in WIP Go. It won't totally get done with WIP Go. So once I have worked through everything else and cycled through everything else in temperature stitching, I'm sure I will put it back in because I do want to get that done this year. So that is all the temperature stitching that I have for you. So that is the 3 makeup. So the 300 stitches makeup from last week, the additional 200 stitches from the kitten from a few weeks ago, the kitten ornament, and the 700 stitches for what was called last week. So I want to move on to SALs now. I have 4 different pieces that I'm stitching for SALs. 3 are current SALs, and I'm trying to, what is that saying? Turn over a new leaf? I don't know. I'm trying to be better about my SALs. The first one is the Modern Folk Embroidery SAL, Little Acorns, and this is what it will look like when it's done. I am absolutely in love with this piece. I want to stitch on it all the time, but I am eating my vegetables. And Jacob had suggested doing all the border pieces, kind of doing the layout first, even though that's not what I wanted to do. That's what I decided to do. So I'm not going to unfold this. I've got a needle stuck in it. So this is the top because I'm holding it upside down, and all of those borders are done. And this is the bottom, and you can see this has been done down to here. Those are all finished. This whole band is finished here. This is finished down to about here, maybe a little bit further. It's finished past those 2 that I need to bring. And it's just a single row of cross stitches. It's not hard. These are all half stitches because I was just counting stuff out, and it's half stitches on the bottom with a full cross every 10th stitch just to help me count. So all that I need to do is bring this side down, finish bringing these across. And then there are, in this section right here, there are 2 vertical dividers that I need to count and add in, which I will do, I'm sure. I will kind of mark where those are when I'm going across this one here. So I'm almost done with what I needed to get done for this month. I could finish it very quickly. I have been trying to focus on other things, making sure my temperature stitching gets done, making sure I get progress on other things. I didn't even bother to show you what it looked like before because it's so boring. I mean, boring update. But I did touch it. What I did is I took a length of floss, and I'm just using DMC 816 that I soaked in a really strong coffee dye to give it some more dimension. And it is Fox and Rabbit Saltbush 28 count linen, which I adore. I'm so glad I have a full yard and I have a huge piece left for another project. Absolutely adore it. I just adore Fox and Rabbit's fabric, period. Every single thing. Anyway, so I just take a length. After I dyed it, I went through and cut lengths of DMC. And so I am doing 2 over 2. And so I just used all 6 strands. And then I was like, okay, we'll put it away now. I think I might, it's the 24th of January, and I have WIP Go calls left to finish, and I want to finish the first month of Little Acorns by the end of the month. So I will probably concentrate on those a little bit more just to get it done. And so I can mark it off and say, I got it done. The other SAL that I'm working on currently, SALs I'm working on currently, the Steady Thread has a free black work SAL every year. I was not going to do this year's, but I just absolutely fell in love with it. And so I tried to put myself in a good place to keep up with it. These SALs, her SALs, the amount of stitching you have to do every week is very reasonable. It really takes 30 minutes. I mean, it doesn't take any time as long as you have the layout and the border and stuff like that done. So I don't have all of the borders done. I have the exterior border done. I have part of the interior border done. And then there is a block that you can choose for in there too, which I don't have finished. But I do have it all laid out to the point where that does not prevent me from making progress. So this is just on 18 count white Aida, nothing extraordinary, with cottage garden threads in Love Seat and Tool Shed. And all that I did on it was week 4 for this block, which was just this little motif in the middle here. Week 5 has been released, which is some corners of this next block here. I have everything laid out with my pink thread. I am just thinking about this and realized I have a piece of temperature stitching that I didn't pull. So I'm going to have to pause you guys again. I don't know why I didn't pull it. I kind of know why I didn't pull it actually, but I will pull it out. So the deal with myself that I made was that I will do the week's stitching and then I'll put a thread length into finishing the border parts that I didn't have finished every week. Cottage garden threads, as you guys know, come pre-cut. They're not really long pieces. So that border will be making progress every single week. Kind of want to sit down and just finish the border, but if I find myself with an abundance of time, I might do that. But the likelihood of that happening, that abundance of time thing, is super slim. So yeah, I'm gonna if I can just make some progress on it every week, I'll be doing good. Not a ton of stitching, and I am absolutely adoring it. Like I said, week 5 was just released, and it's not a huge amount of stitching. And even if you have enough border to just kind of get yourself started, if you're at all interested, go do it. Go do it. Absolutely. It's choose your own adventure stitching because you have lots of options for the borders, and each week there's several things you can do. If you follow it on Facebook, it's so amazing to see what everybody is doing and the choices they're making and how they play together, their color choices and their stitch choices. It's so fun. I love every minute of it. I was not going to let myself do that SAL because I had not finished her 2025 SAL because I got started a little bit late. I'm just explaining in vain. Like I just didn't do it. It was a SAL and I fell behind. I started behind, but anyway, I didn't get it done. So I was not going to let myself do the 2026 one, but I just fell in love with it when I saw it. So I made myself a deal that I could do it as long as I continued to make progress on the 2025. This is what I'm doing. I'm not using those colors, but that is what it should look like when it is done, the 2025 SAL. This is where it was last time you saw it. So the deal I made with myself is that I would do one circle and one strand of floss towards the border every week on this. And I've been doing it. And so it's really good to see progress. So this is on Fiber on a Whim. Aida, I think it's 28 count. I think it's 14 count. It might be 16 count. Cafe au lait, I'm told that it was said. Thank you, Amy. I see a word that is not English and like my brain just goes to mush. And it's embarrassing. It really is. But so thank you. Cafe au lait. I probably should have figured that out on my own. But anyway, Cafe au lait Aida. And I am, all of the black is in Cottage Garden. No, it's in Classic Colorworks, Black Coffee. And the circles I'm just doing in leftover Classic Colorworks colors that I have from other projects. I didn't go fix the one line that was missing in here. I'm going to wait until I use that color again, which will be a minute because I just used it over here. I'm just going to wait and pull that color out when I'm doing the next circle in that color. But I was able to get the curly Q done on the other side and kind of did some more work on the borders. I think there's one, I think I have like 3 stitches on one of these little border pieces at the bottom that I need to add. And then it's just starting to fill in the border pieces. Once the border is done on this, and once the border is done on the other one, the 2026, it'll be just minimal stitching every week. So once I get to that point, it's going to go so quick, and it's really going to free up. Not that it even takes that much time, but it's going to free up a fair amount of stitching time, because I can sit and probably, if I'm not doing the borders, not finishing borders, I can get one of those circles and the week's stitching done on the 2026 done within an hour. So I'm looking forward to that point, but I'm not going to push it to get to that point. I'm not going to prioritize that over something else. I'm going to pause you real quick. I'm pausing you a lot today. I'm going to pause you real quick and go get that other piece of temperature stitching. I knew I was missing something. Hold on. Okay, before we get to my last SAL, let's go back in time and look at temperature stitching. So this, I moved into temperature stitching quite a while ago and have been ignoring it. I mean, it was kind of over the holidays and I was focusing on Christmas related stuff, and this is Christmas related stuff, but every time it came up, I just didn't want to do it. And so I owe it a ton of back stitches. In fact, so many that I didn't even pull it out to work on it until it was at its number 10 in the temperature stitching calls. So I owed it 900 stitches, and then it got called last week. And this was the week of temperature stitching calls that I dreaded, whether it was Beautiful Grains, whether it was the Ghoulies and Ghosties piece, whether it was this piece. I looked at it and just groaned and was just like, oh, I don't want to do that. But I did it. So it is an ornament. Artwork is by Scott Gustafson, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I had started it as my gridironed grind piece back in the fall, and just got to the point where it's like, I can't do any more purple and gray and sky. And so I switched my gridiron grind piece to Six Portals by Rose Catherine Kahn, charted by Pain Free Crafts. And I got some work done on that, but I literally owe 12,000 some stitches for gridiron grind. And I'm stubborn enough, so I'm tracking that. And my goal is to get done with those stitches by the time football starts back up again. My team was the Chiefs, and they were eliminated. They didn't even make the playoffs. So I've had a little bit of a break from gridiron grind. I'm not sure I'll get all those done, but I'm going to try. Anyway, so this is where it was last time you saw it. And I don't know whether you watched those videos, but it said, like, I just felt like I needed to be out of the sky and the purple. I needed to see something a little bit more real. But when I picked it up this time, instead, part of how I could talk myself into picking it up is I decided to put it into a diagonal. Not that that's going to give me something real other than sky to stitch anytime soon. In fact, I probably would get to it quicker if I just kept going down. But there was all sorts of little stitches that needed filled in here and confetti. And it was that decision paralysis thing. It's like I couldn't figure out what color I was doing next, what I was going to do. So I decided to put it into a diagonal. I am working this on like 28 count Monaco, just with a call for DMCs, and it is not pre-gridded, which was working fine as I was just doing this. I'm just doing 1/1. But to do a diagonal, I knew I needed to grid it. So I pulled out my handy little skein of big pink thread, just sewing machine thread. And I did grids. I don't know that you can see that. Grids there. Hopefully you can see that. Down the side where I was working and across. And very quickly got to the points where I realized I did not have enough grid lines. But I had 100 stitches to do, and I just decided to start moving it into a diagonal. That made it, after I had the lines in, which took a minute, but after I had the lines in, it was much more enjoyable. I enjoyed doing this so much more than working across the top. And it was like slowly filling in the holes and the confetti stitches, while still, I just didn't have to think. There was just I knew what I was doing next. So I'm just doing a 10 by 10 diagonal on this one. And my back is kind of looking a little bit like a crime scene back, but I'm deciding not to care about that. So I really enjoyed doing it this way. And I got my 100 stitches done and was happy. And this, again, I do not believe this was called this coming week. So you probably won't see it again, but I know now I know when it was. I think I did 130 stitches. I got 30 of my makeup stitches done. But now I know when it's called again. I'm not dreading doing it, and we'll just be able to pick it up and put the stitches into it. And of course, if I have extra stitching time ever, I do have backups like makeup stitches I want to work on. And so I'm not upset about the thought of doing that with this now. That also is on my WIP Go board. So there's a possibility it might get called. I know Jessie Marie is calling those tomorrow, I believe, because she usually calls those on the 25th. So I will kind of know what, before I record next time, I'll kind of know what my February WIP Go numbers are. And February is a short month. So I really want to try to get January's numbers done and be set and ready to go. And in a good spot, like caught up on my SALs and caught up on all my temperature stitching. So I can be good moving forward. So the last SAL that I worked on, and then last WIP that I worked on, we're finally at the end of the 12, is the Heaven and Earth Designs 2026 SAL. I am doing Fairytale by Dragon Muse, of course, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I hardly touched it. This is where it was last time you saw it. I sat down last night and said, I haven't touched this all week. I'm never going to make progress on it if I don't get going. I'm going to get so far behind that it's going to feel hopeless and I'm going to just abandon it. And I don't want to do that. So I sat down last night and it was pretty late, but I ended up putting 159 stitches into it. So this is where I am. I am just moving this slowly into a little bit more of a proper diagonal. I am not holding to that. It's a 20 stitch diagonal. I'm not holding real fast to that because, you know, if there are stitches right next to something, I will probably do them. But I'm getting a little bit more strict about it the further out I get. So 159 stitches. This is on 20 count easy grid Ada, and I'm just using the called for DMC, but I am doing 2 strands over one of Ada, and I'm getting absolutely amazing coverage, and it's not really too tight. I really do enjoy stitching on this, and once I sit down and start doing it, this is what, when I'm working on this, this is when I stay up late at night because I will just sit in my little chair and I'll have FlossTube on and like bright lights shining on my lap. And I'm just going and going and going. And I will stay up late and my husband will be like, are you still awake? Because I'm usually asleep by 9:30. And it'll be like midnight. And I'm like, yeah, I just want to get a couple more colors done in this diagonal. I do not have the goal of really finishing the entire thing by the end of the year because the 3 reward charts aren't things that are really floating my boat. I mean, there's one of them that I like more than the others, but I'm not going to be heartbroken if I don't get it. There are some of the other charts that you get if you get to the 6 pages. There are some of those I would like to stitch. I'm really enjoying everybody who is stitching the Mirror of Venus, I think it's called, which I didn't even really think about. And then I thought about it. Then the more I look at it, I'm like, man, I think I would have really liked stitching that. But there are some of those that I really like and would absolutely enjoy stitching. So if I can get to the 6 pages, I would be happy. I definitely have some catch-up work to get on pace to get those 6 pages done by the end of the year, but I'm not so far behind it's hopeless. So I am going to try to focus on that a little bit over the next week too, because next weekend is still January. So we'll still be in January next time I record, because I seem to be doing it weekly, which is good. I don't fall behind if that's the case. But so you'll have a really good idea of where I'm at. I will probably have like one stitching day left to try to get stuff moved forward, make sure all of my January goals get done. So those are all of my WIPs. I do have a little bit of haul to show you, not very much. I was kind of good. Kind of good. And then I do have the Stitchy Kindness from Erin I want to share with you too. The first things I'm going to show you, I'm not sure about. So I think I shared a couple of videos ago that I really wanted to do one of the Harry Potter libraries, and I do think I'm going to do Snape's. And I wanted to try CXC threads. You know, I hear about them all the time. I've never tried them, and I thought, hey, that would probably be a good project because there are a lot of colors. And so I went on to AliExpress and ordered a full set of CXC threads. And this came in and it said, I'm so paranoid about people not sending me the right thing. So I went and like did all this research, and how can you tell if it's real CXC threads? Because I know there's things that are not. And you know, made sure I ordered from somebody on AliExpress that like had a good number of orders, had some good reviews. They said genuine CXC floss, 2 label rows, like whatever. Followed all the stuff. But you couldn't see like the barcode, because a lot of stuff I was seeing said if it's genuine CXC, the barcode is like 14 at the end. And this came in and the barcode does not say 14. So I have no idea whether this is actually CXC. And I know there are some things, and I know there's color differences between DMC and CXC, with some colors being significantly different than others, but I'm still going to go for it. And I don't really know if it is what I thought it was. So, do I care at this point? Probably not. I haven't really taken them out of the bags at all, clearly, but a full set. To do that library, I do need a large amount of 939, and I have a cone of CXC sitting, or at least they say it's CXC sitting in my cart on AliExpress, and we'll see when we get there. Haven't let myself start it yet though. Don't know what I'm doing with that yet. Another piece of haul I mentioned the other day, it is the kit that I ordered off of Glare here. The kit that I ordered off of Poshmark. Yes, Poshmark. I thought Poshmark just sold used high-end clothing and shoes. And I was actually on there looking at John Furlong shoes because I am addicted to those, seeing if there were any ones that I loved in my size. Because a lot of times they're very gently used, but you didn't come to listen to me talk about shoes. But anyway, much to my surprise, there's all sorts of floss and all sorts of vintage kits on there. So this is artwork by Charles Wysocki. It's a Dimensions kit. It is very much a companion piece to the 'Tis the Season kit that I showed you in temperature stitching. It showed up on there, and like it was at a good price, and it hasn't even been opened. It is just the white Aida with all the ingredients. But I thought when I finally get 'Tis the Season done, that would be a fun thing to start, just to have them together. So that did come in. I was very happy with that. The other things that came in were the fabric for the new alchemy pieces by Ink Circles. As I showed you last time, I did get the floss, everything that wasn't back ordered. I have one color of the floss, the silken floss or whatever it's called. Silken color, I don't know. There was one color that was back ordered. So I'm still waiting for that color, but I did go ahead and order in the Weathered Stone Atomic Ranch by Atomic Ranch fabrics, which was the called for fabrics. I did buy 32 count Ada. They didn't have a big piece, which kind of made my decision for me that I wasn't doing it in one big piece, but I did get 2 fat quarters. So it won't, if I put it together in one piece, the borders will be too tight, and that's fine. Doing it in 4 pieces is reasonable. So I do have 2 fat quarters of those that came in. Now I have the patterns. I have 3 of the 4 flosses, and each piece only takes 1 of those flosses. So I could very, very, very easily have started that. In fact, it was everything I could do not to start that when the fabric came in. But I knew I had other things to do. So I have been very good and have not started that. Time will tell. I could start that at any moment, and I really want to. And I have those 2. I have 2 spots before I get to 40 WIPs that I'm allowing myself. So I don't know. I want to get my January goals done though too. So we'll see. You'll learn next week. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about the Stitchy Kindness that I got as part of my round robin exchange from Erin, at Cornflower Stitchery. Like I said before, she just spoiled me rotten, and it must be something about Stitchers that we're just generous and that we like to gift things to people. So not only did I get her beautiful scissor sampler, which I didn't work on at all this last week, but her beautiful scissor sampler to work on, but there was also all sorts of other goodies in that package. And she gave me permission to share. So she sent a book, The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. I have read this book before. I did not tell you that, Erin, but I have read this book before, but I did really enjoy it. And I'm going to read it again now that I have it again. I very rarely will save books after I'm done reading them. It has to be something really pretty special for me to save it anymore, because I love reading and books accumulate a lot. And I do have a lot of room, but my bookshelves are already pretty full of things that I'm not willing to give up. So it has to be something really, really, really special for me to save it. Usually I will read a book and then I will pass it on to somebody. Now, I remember reading this. I remember really enjoying it and going through it super quickly, super quickly, because I enjoyed it so much. And then I passed it on to my sister-in-law. And so I was really actually super happy to see this book, because I looked at it and I went, wait a minute, I think I've read that. And I kind of read the blurb on the back a little bit. I was just like, yeah, I did. But I remember I really, really enjoyed it, but also that I read it really, really fast. Don't really remember everything about it. So I am going to thoroughly enjoy rereading this book. So thank you very much. It's kind of funny. It just kind of found its way back to me. And it is something I have thought about several times since I gave it away, and thought, I should probably reread that, because I remember it, but I don't, but I just know how much I enjoyed it. So anyway, I have it again. So I will be reading it again. She also included this, and I'm not sure if she made this herself or not, but it looks like she might have. It could be a keychain thing. I think you could probably, it's maybe a little bit big for a project bag, but I think I'm going to use it as a keychain. It's so cute. And let me see. I guess there's a tag. Yes, it looks like she did make it. She is so clever. I wouldn't even know how to start making something like this. I guess I would know how to start, but I would be like, oh, I'm not sure I would get very far. But it is adorable and has these little buttons on it. And it is so cute and so usable. And I love it. It's just like this perfect size too, to like put over your wrist with keys. So maybe I just need to put my office keys on that. That's a really good idea, because I can just throw it over my wrist when I'm going to class. Just thought of that now, but I love it. Thank you so much. It is absolutely wonderful. So thank you for that. I don't even know what to go to next because there was so much cool stuff in there. She did give me a piece of Ada that she had dyed, this beautiful purple, and clearly she is very talented when it comes to dyeing. I don't know whether she ice dyed this. I don't know what she did, but it has amazing modeling in it and so many different colors. So I am looking for something to do on this. I have so many patterns and I know I have something that's perfect for this. I just haven't figured out what it is yet. So Cornflower Stitchery, I don't know whether she does. If she doesn't do these to sell these to people, she should. I will link her below if you're wanting a beautiful piece of dyed fabric. Contact her. I think she'd probably help you out there. But I was so happy to see this and just started looking through patterns and trying to figure out what I was going to put on it almost immediately. So I will find something and it will be used soon. Just gorgeous. My big old mama Cass is oh no, that's lucky. That's a different one. Is someone is insane and are cleaning the walks with the temperature it is, not my walks across the street. She also, oh my gosh, gotta get this open. She also gave me this scissor and thimble set. And it has this beautiful scissor fob on it with these jewels and charms. And these little bitty beautiful scissors with a thimble. And I'm not really a thimble person, but sometimes you need a thimble. So it's always nice to have one when you have one, when you need it. But a really nice thimble that doesn't like cover everything, which is super nice. So these are Swank. I don't know. They're beautiful. And I love this color blue. That is just one of my favorite colors in the entire world, kind of that peacock blue with these. Oh, it's so pretty. So a scissor and thimble set, which is beautiful. Erin and her husband own a jewelry store. And I don't think this is like fine jewelry by any means, but she is an artist and has an amazing eye. As you can tell, that is incredibly generous. She is just, I can't say enough about her. Like I've said before, my connection through Stitching Connection, all of those ladies, because I am in an all-female connection, are just, they are going to be lifelong friends. And I know they will, and I know they will be. And I just got spoiled. I think we're all spoiling each other though, honestly. So yeah, beautiful, beautiful set of scissors. And she didn't stop there because she also sent me some stitching with a J on it just for me. So some J and some black work around the sides. On just this linen. It's pretty raw linen, just gorgeous. And like I said before, Erin's stitching is amazing. It's beautiful. So not only am I going to have her stitching on my round robin piece, but I'm going to have some stitching that she made just for me. So that is so wonderful. I think I'm going to turn this into a little cushion. Actually, I might not. I think I might find a good frame for this. It's not going to be big, but I'm going to hang it up. I'm going to frame it, I think, and hang it up on my wall. And it's just going to remind me of Erin and all those great friendships that we made through the Stitching Connection. And it's beautiful. So that was so nice. Didn't end there. She also bought me a pattern that I wanted. On my wish list are really all of the seasonal Quaker patterns from Lila Studios. I've been watching people do them and just wanted to do them and started. I'm sorry for the glare. So she got me the Winter Quaker Sampler Peace on Earth by Lila Studios, and I can hardly wait to start this. I need I have a lot of fabric. I need to see if I have a piece that's appropriate for it. The model was done on 40 count, and I think I would like to do it on 40 count because it will be huge if I do it on like 28 count or something like that. But I'm so looking forward to getting this started. Absolutely love it. I just need to identify the fabric. And it's all DMC floss, but I know that there are silk conversions for this that people are doing. And I think these Quakers by Lila Studios are so special that they are something I probably want to do in silk. So I'm just I'm plotting starting this one with really nice heirloom materials so I will treasure it forever regardless, but I do love working with silk and it just screams silk to me. So I think I'm going to look for that. And that is not it either. I told you I got spoiled. She also made this wonderful bag that everything came in. And I know she made it because she has her little label on it. And it doesn't have pockets or anything, but it has a little snap that'll keep it closed. And it's just an amazing thing to bring your stitching with you when you're going someplace. And so you could fit a couple project bags or projects that you do not have in project bags in here and take your stitching or your knitting or your crochet. And it's a really good size, as you can see, with you wherever you go. So thank you, Erin. I cannot say thank you enough. I love absolutely everything. And you will always, always be my friend and have a special place in my heart. And we will be Zooming soon, I promise. So those are the new Stitchy things that came in the Stitchy Kindness. So we are really coming to an end in this video. I do want to say that Harmony Peel did contact me finally, and I was able to get her $25 gift card to 123 Stitch, which was great. I was super happy that she contacted me. I have this thing where it's like, I frequently think that I offend people. And, so when she had not contacted me, I was just like, did I offend her in some way? Was that how I was pronouncing her name? And it is Harmony. So I got that. I was like, is it how I'm pronouncing her name? Did I say something where I offended her? Like, why is she not taking her gift card? Why is she not contacting me? So it was very nice to hear from her and to get that gift card to her. My subscribers since that time have creeped up a little bit, not much. I mean, I went through a long period of time where I didn't post, but they have started kind of creeping up a little bit more now that I've been posting again. So when I get safely over the 300 mark, I'll probably do another giveaway of a gift card. I think once we do one at 30, and I think that'll be a $30 gift card at 300 subscribers. I think once we get to 400, which I'm hoping to get to at some point, I think I'm going to break it up and do 220 just so I can kind of share the love out there for some people. YouTube is such a funny thing. FlossTube is a funny thing. I love all the connections and friends that I've made through doing this, but I started doing this for me. And I'm really glad I'm doing it. And it gets easier the more you do it. So if you're thinking about starting a FlossTube, just do it. It gets easier. But it's like, I'm always looking for new FlossTubers to watch, and I'm terribly behind right now with people I love to watch. And like every once in a while, someone will start a new FlossTube, and like literally within a week, they'll have like 7,000 views and like 2,000 subscribers. And I'm like, wow, I don't know what they did. Didn't do. And it's not that I'm necessarily looking for that, but it's just kind of a mystery to me. It's kind of a mystery. Like, why do some things just take off like crazy and then other things don't? And And I guess if I really wanted to, I could spend a lot of time trying to figure that out. But like I said, I'm doing this for me mostly, with the idea that, I mean, I do kind of want to build something off of that, but not something for me, just kind of like a Stitchy Kindness thing, which I need a little bit more of a critical mass for. And we're starting to get there. So, and I have identified a website. So I talked about that way back when. Um, so I'm hopeful, like by the time I've been on FlossTube a year, I will have made enough connections and reached enough people so we can really build something out. So a couple times a year, we can maybe look at just a big Stitchy Kindness exchange with people. So anyway, that's it. That's it. As far as this week goes, I'm just going to try to keep up on my temperature stitching. Like I said, I looked at the calls. There were a couple numbers that repeated, which were nice. But one of those, it was the last time. So it rolled over to a new replacement. So I need to take care of that. So there's really, I want to say six projects for temperature stitching. I do want to work on my cells. I do want to work on my WIP Go calls to try to get those done by the end of the month. I also, with Aaron's scissor sampler, I kind of told myself I am just going to take like a length of floss and use it every week at least, just to make some good progress on that. So I'm hopeful to be able to show you some of that next week. Things that I didn't get to this week: Christmas market, didn't touch it. It didn't get to my other WIP Go call, which is Latitude. I love working on that. Like I said, I was just trying to concentrate on other things. I did a fair amount of makeup, because I did have those 500 stitches for WIP Go that I did. And I did have a fair number of makeup stitches that kind of came into play with other things. And with one of the calls, I'm going to have some of those again, because one of the calls for his temperature stitching, I did have some makeup stitching on, and it's a piece that I really enjoy working on. So I might just get all of those makeup stitches done when it's out. But I'm going to try to focus on those things, trying not to start a new project, and we'll see how it goes. So I know this storm is heading east with all of the frigid weather and all of the snow. So any of you who are in the path of this storm, stay safe, stay warm. It's great stitching time. I hope your power stays on. Thank you for joining me. Definitely leave me a comment. Let me know what you're working on, what you're doing. Those are always fun to read and fun to see. And I should see you next week. Thanks. Bye.